long ago in the castle of a kingdom called Daventry.
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here. Alexander.
Cosima! Wait! Mother! Mother, come quick!
Alexander, what on earth? You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
In the mirror? The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
Prince Alexander sailed the known seas and beyond. As the ship nears the shore, day turns to night and the sea turns violent. Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here. Then he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave picked him up and tossed him overboard into the churning sea. That was the last he'd seen of his crew. Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made their way safely back to Daventry. A long plank lies on the beach. No doubt it once belonged to Alexander's ship. Alexander pushes the plank to one side. A box has been partially buried under sand. There's a copper coin in the treasure box. The coin bears the seal of Daventry and King Graham's noble face. Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruined box where it is. Alexander's royal insignia ring lies abandoned on the sand. It must have slipped from his finger during the shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not lost in the sea. Alexander picks up his royal insignia ring from the beach. The beach is covered with a fine-grained white sand. Rocks abound on this lush volcanic isle. The ocean appears calm, but there's a dimpling pattern to the surface which indicates an undertow. Rocks abound on A hollow in the trunk of the old tree forms a perfect nesting place for wildlife. Alexander examines the tree's hollow, but finds nothing of interest. There's a little hut just off the path. Perhaps the guard dogs have an occasional use for it, but it looks empty now. Two guards take their stance in front of the castle doors. They look quite fierce and have the stiff, blank expression of soldiers on formal duty. The castle doors are firmly shut and bolted. The castle appears to be of Moorish architecture. Its marbled walls and delicate inlaid mosaics are unlike anything Alexander has ever experienced before. His own home, though lovely and dear to his heart, seems rough-hewn compared to this delicate beauty. Alexander politely addresses the odd-looking guards at the castle doors, hoping to learn more about his predicament.
Good day to you, guards. I was cast upon this island in a storm, and I'm a little confused about my location. Could you tell me what place this is and who lives in this castle?
Hey, what is that you say? A castaway? A likely story. We haven't had any foreigners in this part since Alhazred arrived.
Don't be so rude, Gruff. He's not asking for any secrets. You're standing on the Isle of the Crown, lad, and this is the Castle of the Crown. The royal family resides here. Rather, what's left of the royal family.
The Isle of the Crown. But tell me, am I anywhere near the land of the Green Isles?
This is the land of the Green Isles. The Isle of the Crown is the main island, foolish boy.
Then Princess Cassima must live in this very castle.
Aye, the princess is indeed our treasured jewel to guard, and we consider it an honor.
Excuse me, guardsmen, guard dogs. I've been traveling for months to see Princess Cassima. I would like an audience, please.
I'm sorry, but the princess is not receiving visitors, particularly not strangers.
I really must see the princess. Could I speak with someone in charge?
Who are you that I should bother Captain Saladin, huh?
My name is Alexander. I am a prince of Daventry and a friend of the princess.
A prince, is it? I see. Yeah, and I am lord of this dusty path. Step aside. You'll not be getting into this castle without some proof of your claims.
Alexander's ring is made of the purest gold and has the insignia of the royal family of Daventry on its face. Alexander decides to try his royal insignia ring on the guards. With all of his papers lost in the shipwreck, it is the only possible proof of his identity that he can think of.
Perhaps this ring will convince you of my identity. It is the royal insignia ring of Daventry.
Ha! I'm sure. Just let me take a look at that ring.
Well, I'm sorry, Your Highness. It's just that princes are so uncommon in these parts. Let me get Captain Saladin.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain Saladin speaks with a voice that is gentle, but reflects a will of iron.
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazred will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please follow me. Lord Alhazred, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince Alexander?
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, things have greatly changed for Cassima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle. Cassima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cassima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cassima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cassima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cassima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, It would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cassima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity to look around your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The kingdom is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you will respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate, and they nod with understanding. Alexander has a feeling they won't be letting him into the castle again. Vines have begun to climb the castle's stucco walls. The vines are too flimsy to support Alexander. An old beggar is peddling his wares in the village. He offers a variety of lamps, all neatly lined up on a long pole.
Old lamps for new! Old lamps for new!
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
An old man occasionally steals sidelong glances at Alexander from under a concealing hood. The bookshop owner is a thin, middle-aged man. His intelligent eyes are slightly blurry from long nights spent reading by candlelight.
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger in this land. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
That is quite a question, young man. Who are you, and what would you have me tell you?
My name is Alexander. I know I'm on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can tell me about this island, and if there are other islands nearby.
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not the customs of the land beneath his feet. This island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. There are at least 3 other islands. The Isle of the Sacred Mountain, the Isle of the Beast, and the Isle of Wonder.
At least 3? Does no one know for certain?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. The land of the Green Isles has always been a place of vague boundaries, as if islands come and go. Legend speaks of a fourth island, an isle shrouded in mists. I myself have never seen it. Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even darker places are reputed to be closer here than anywhere else in the world.
That's quite a claim.
Claim, yes, but probably just local superstition. We who live here on the Isle of the Crown, at least, sleep well enough at night.
Those first 3 islands you mentioned, how might I learn more about them?
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores and learn about them firsthand. Meeting the leaders of each place would be helpful, naturally. Unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There has been much political unrest, and it has been too dangerous to travel for years. Perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has little enough to do these days. And if you haven't been there already, you might seek an audience at the castle.
Thank you kindly, merchant, for all your good advice.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander. Making use of it costs much more.
How fare you, merchant?
Business could be better. Too many people are losing interest in reading these days. It is a sign of the times.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate cover is the title, Ye Useful Book of Magic Spells.
How much for that book on the counter, merchant?
It is a fine book, is it not? I obtained it from the estate of the one and only magician this kingdom has ever had. Poofed himself into an aardvark in the end, or so I heard. I never found the spells all that useful myself, but then I lead a boring life. I tell you what, if you can find another rare book, something a bit more marketable, I might be willing to exchange the spell book for it.
These shelves hold a collection of oddly titled guidebooks. Alexander notices such books as How to Become King with Little or No Rupees Down, Finding the Right Girl with the Right Dowry, and Why Good Princesses Like Bad Wizards. Volumes of poetry are on display on this bookshelf. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to leaf through one of the volumes of love poetry. He reads, Thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face, and all thy studied female grace have won for thee anon a place within this broken breast. Not bad. And another. Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by worldly care, where shadow they her earthly bed, oh, that she were not there. Yikes. And another. What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and through, and binds my heart with links so tight I cannot live without the sight of you? What nameless thing has captured me, and made me powerless to flee? What thing is it without a name, that brings my mind e'er back the same to thee? The name of love cannot apply, its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that e'er my soul eternal makes for you.
A little close to home, that one.
Alexander returns the love poem book to the shelf. Alexander picks up the fallen page. It's the love poem he particularly liked. It must have fallen out of the poetry book.
I see that old volume has lost another page. You may keep it if you like, sir. I have glued the stubborn thing back in place 2 times already.
I do rather like it. Thank you, merchant.
There's a book entitled The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages on the small table in the reading area. It appears that some regular customer likes that book. Alexander rests his feet for a moment. Alexander picks up and leafs idly through a book called The Changing Role of Court Entertainers Through the Ages. Well, that was refreshing.
Good day, sir.
The mysterious old man just ignores Alexander. There's a small table near the door that bears a sign. The sign has undergone a number of changes. It once read 10 pence, but that was crossed out and replaced with 5 pence, then 1 pence, then free. The sign currently reads, "Take one, please." Only one book remains on the table. It looks like the bookshop owner really wants to get rid of that book. Alexander picks up the book from the small table.
Oh, yes, please, take that book. You have my most humble thanks for doing so, good sir.
Really? Thanks.
Alexander is carrying a book from the bargain table in the bookshop. Alexander opens the bargain book and reads a paragraph at random.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard.
Phew, what an incredibly boring book. No wonder the bookshop owner wanted to get rid of it so badly. There's a young girl in the yard. The girl is dressed in a long, plain orange robe with a thick headdress. From the appearance of her clothes and from a skittish, fearful look about her, Alexander gets the strong impression that she is a servant, or even worse, a slave. The serving girl appears to be stealing a quiet moment tending the rose bushes. The girl is too far away to hold a conversation with Alexander.
You lazy thing! Get back to work and stay away from those roses! I've told you 1,000,000 times, those flowers are too sweet for the likes of you! You've still got to do the breakfast dishes, make lunch, and clean the stables yet this morning! And get your veil back on! No one wants to look at your face!
Yes, stepmother.
Alexander has not been invited to pick the family's roses. Alexander doesn't want to intrude on private property unless he's been invited.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
Good day. I'm Alexander. What are you doing in the sea?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm swimming. I mean, come join me. The water's wonderful. I can show you the way to the next island. Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt you. Come join me if you're brave enough. What are you waiting for? I said I'd show you how to get to the next island, didn't I?
The ocean currents continue to murmur, but they do not. That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water. A worn wooden vessel has been dry docked on a jetty. The boat is in sad shape. A hole in the hull and the condition of its boards make it obvious that the vessel is no longer seaworthy.
Yeah, what do you want?
Alexander promises himself that he will not go. Alexander, the boat does. Alexander.
Go! I said the ferry's out of business. What do you want to keep bothering me for?
Alexander.
Excuse me. My name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you. Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside. What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
Huh. It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
Tell me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cosima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cosima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
Tell me more about Princess Cosima.
Ah, such a beautiful child, and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around. Always thinking about the people. They are sorely missed.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty. She's the finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next. Of course, that's just silly talk.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
A table is positioned in front of two plain wooden chairs. The table consists of a board placed over a small barrel. There's a rabbit's foot on the table.
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that. Thank you.
Several oil lamps are strategically placed around the boat's cabin to illuminate the island's dark nights.
Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all. It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
Old lamps!
Good day, peddler.
Good day, sir. If you would like to get one of my fine new lamps, I'll need an old lamp in trade.
Isn't it a rather bad business? Taking old lamps and giving new lamps in exchange?
Well, there's always a chance that I'll find a genie. If I had a genie, I'd be richer than a king. Besides, there's always a roaring business in antique luminaries.
How fare you, peddler?
Lad, have you an old lamp for me yet?
Good day.
A mysterious old man also patronizes the pawn shop. He steals sidelong glances at Alexander from under his hood.
Good day, sir.
The old man just glares at Alexander and does not reply.
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a magic map of the land of the Green Isles.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It's been gathering dust so long that I nearly forgot about it. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself there. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, no one is interested in traveling these days. It is far too dangerous with the current state of the kingdom.
What would you take for the map?
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun with prospective buyers, I would be willing to take anything of equal value in exchange.
I have this copper coin. Will it serve in exchange for the map?
An interesting enough piece, but it is not nearly valuable enough to trade for this map. In fact, I would say it is about the worth of our own copper. The only items in the store that I could let go for the price of a single copper are the 4 simple items I normally display on the front counter.
Well, if I can't have the map, then I suppose one of the counter items will do.
As you wish.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter near the map to make his selection.
I see you have noticed my Mechanical Nightingale. She is made of plain tin, but she sings the sweetest song you can imagine, barely distinguishable from the real thing. The flute is only made of plain wood, but its notes are fine and true. Ah, yes, the painter's brush. It was well used by one of the island's best painters. There's a lot of creativity in that brush, and its bristles are still in good condition. Have you an interest in tinder boxes? This one is only slightly battered. It holds a good supply of flint, a sturdy striking pad, and even a candle in case you find yourself with naught else to hold the flame.
That Mechanical Nightingale looks intriguing. I believe I'll take it.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this is a pawn shop. I am always willing to take back my own goods in trade.
I'll remember. Thank you. Would you be willing to take my family ring in exchange for the magic map?
Daventry, are you a king then?
No. That's my father, King Graham. I'm just Alexander.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring. Are you sure you can part with such a unique family heirloom?
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
Then you now own a magic map, Prince Alex. I will keep your ring out of sight for a few days. If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back for your ring. I would hate to see it melted down for gold. Ah, and a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has something to do with the teleport spell ingredients. You might try the beach.
Thank you. You are very kind, and I'll remember about the map.
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished. From the pawn shop owner, he just abstained, just reprieved. He just got a magic map.
You fool! You've been eating those mints again. I ordered you to stop that!
Yes, Master.
Now, what is this about a magic map?
With the map, Prince Alexander could travel anywhere as quickly as I can.
I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my scimitar, I can't have him stirring things up now. Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir. Go to the other islands and tell them...
Alexander takes a mint. Towering mightily over the other pawn-shop curiosities, the stuffed bear makes an ostentatious display. A nightingale perches on a high branch of the tree. She sings the most beautiful song Alexander has ever heard. Alexander winds the mechanical nightingale and places it on the ground. The mechanical nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad. The nightingale sings her crystalline song in the boughs of the old tree. The nightingale looks at Alexander curiously, as though waiting for something. Alexander has a love poem from a book in the bookshop. Alexander holds out the poem to the nightingale. To Alexander's surprise, the nightingale swoops down and grabs the page from his hand. The nightingale flies off towards the castle with the poem. Where might she be taking it? The nightingale sings her... The nightingale looks at Alex... Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander notices an unusually large coal-black feather lying on the beach. Alexander takes the feather. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong skunk-like odor. For a moment he can smell nothing else. There appears to be something etched into the face of the cliff. Alexander decides to get closer. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange A little fawn is feeding on a grassy hillock near the sea. Alexander pulls out his map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. A string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you going?" Alexander's heard of alphabet soup, but this is ridiculous. One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look very happy. He seems to be the only one who can't sleep. In the oyster's mouth, Alexander can see a glint of white.
Why aren't you asleep like the other oysters?
Oh, I'm so weary, but I can't sleep. I have a terrible ache in my mouth.
What's wrong with your mouth?
No offense, but it hurts too much to talk.
What's wrong with your...
No.
If you're having trouble sleeping, perhaps you'd like me to read to you.
Hey, that would be great.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard. Yields a gilded minnow of precise measurements, 2,069 centidrills by 3,023 6/7 puns, not punts, as might be expected. This is not to say, however, in any sense whatsoever, that deviations in mean temperature of 5 or 6 dregs or so.
Alexander makes a grab for the pearl.
Hey, you fixed my mouth. It feels great.
The little oyster drifts into peaceful slumber with the rest of his oyster friends. Alexander hears someone coming. Alexander pulls out. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander sorts through the odds and ends that the pawn shop owner dumped into the pot. Magic exploding gum wrappers, a shattered crystal ball, a cracked wand, a fake thumb. Near the bottom, Alexander finds a little glass bottle labeled ink. It appears to be empty, but Alexander decides to take it anyway. You never know when a small bottle will come in handy.
Good day, Prince Alexander.
If Alexander wants to exchange one of his possessions for an item in the pawn shop, he'll have to arrange it with the pawn shop owner first by
How fare you, good merchant?
A man my age can only thank the heavens for continued strength, young sire.
I found this large pearl. Might it be valuable enough to ransom back my family ring?
I have never seen such a perfect pearl. Certainly you can have your ring back.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't sell it. I'm a bit attached to it, I'm afraid.
Of course you are. You would be cold-hearted if you felt any differently. I am happy to see a family heirloom back with its rightful owner.
Alexander winds the Mechanical Nightingale and places it on the ground. The Mechanical Nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad. There's no reason to... Alexander holds out his royal ring to the nightingale. To Alexander's surprise, the nightingale swoops down and grabs the ring from his hand. The nightingale flies off towards the castle with Alexander's ring. Where might she be taking it? The nightingale has returned from her flight with Alexander's ring. She flutters off her branch and drops something red at Alexander's feet. The nightingale has dropped a bit. It's a red velvet hair ribbon. The bird must have taken Alexander's ring to someone who sent back this ribbon in return. Could it possibly be? Dare he hope that the someone is Cosima herself?
If only it could be so. Oh.
Alexander has a love. Alexander holds out the love poem, hoping that the bird will deliver it to the same place she took the ring, in the chance that the receiver might truly be Cosima. The nightingale swoops down, grabs the love poem, and takes it towards the castle. Alexander examines the tree's hollow. The nightingale has returned from her flight with Alexander's poem. She flutters off her branch and drops a piece of parchment at Alexander's feet. The nightingale has dropped.
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
An odd-looking man is reading in the stuffed chair. He wears a vest, balloon-style pants, and pointed shoes. There's something deliberately silly about the man, as though he were a performer of some sort.
Good day, sir. Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Excuse me again, sir. You mentioned the princess.
I told you I'm not interested in talking to strangers.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flit mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cosima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cosima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Jallo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Casima's parents, King Calipham and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Casima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing, smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Casima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Casima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion. Now I'm afraid I must hurry back to the castle. I'll try to return to the bookshop again later.
Thank you for speaking with me, Jallo. I hope we meet again soon.
Alexander winds the Mechanical Nightingale. The Mechanical Nightingale sings a sweet, tinny tune. The real nightingale in the tree cocks her head and listens intently. The nightingale flies to a lower branch and looks at Alexander curiously, as if she were deciding that this human might not be so bad. Alexander holds out his insignia ring to the nightingale, hoping she perhaps is the nightingale that Jallo spoke of, and that she might be able to take the ring to Casima. The ring is the one thing he has that might alert Casima to his presence on the Isles. The nightingale swoops down and grabs the ring. She flies off towards the castle, perhaps to Casima.
Sing Sing, what have you got in your mouth, my pretty? A gold ring? Sing Sing, where did you get this? realm of Daventry. But this is Alexander's ring. Oh, my soul, he must be here. Sing Sing, I wish you could tell me what you've seen. Is he really here then, on this very island? Oh, if only I could leave this castle as easily as you. Take this ribbon, Sing Sing. If you know where he is, return it to him. Please be careful, Alexander. It is so dangerous, and yet I could not wish you away.
The little bird makes a delivery. It's a red velvet hair ribbon. Could it be? Could it possibly belong to Cosima herself?
Or am I merely wishing it were so? Oh.
Alexander holds out the love poem, hoping that the bird will deliver it to the same place she took the ring, in the chance that the receiver might truly be Cosima. The nightingale swoops down, grabs the love poem, and takes it towards the castle.
Sing Sing, my sweet, you bring another present. Let me see. It is a poem, Sing Sing.
What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and through, and binds my heart with links so tight, I cannot live without the sight of you?
Oh, Alexander. I was hoping he'd return to you. Take this to him while he waits. Hurry, my fleet one.
The little bird makes a delivery. The nightingale has dropped a bit of paper on the ground. It's a note.
Dearest Alexander, I cannot believe you are here, my friend. Please, please be careful. Abdul isn't about to let anyone interfere with his plans. Watch out for Abdul's genie, Alexander, and do not do anything rash. I am not without resources, and I will prevail if I can only find some small means of defense. Do nothing to try to get to me. You must not be endangered again for my sake. Greatly in your family's debt, Cosima.
Alexander's hand trembles as he reads the note. For the first time in his long search, he has heard her voice again, if only in writing. No words of love, only friendly concern. Friend. Is the maiden merely shy, or does she regard him only as a brother? Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander hears someone coming.
Five fierce guards of the isle we be, Watch for a foreign man, said he, with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If man it be, then man it dies. Old Tom Troll, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well.
Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
Tom Troll I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and sea. A flower of stench has washed ashore. A flower 'tis all, and nothing more. Listen, hark you, Grovelor, do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more.
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No man is near, and so say me. Taste, Grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe.
Alexander holds the mint out for the gnome with the gigantic mouth.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet. Trilly-dilly, use your hands. Is it beast or is it man?
Alexander holds the rabbit foot out for the gnome with the huge hands.
Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet.
Old Bill Batter, never fatter. Vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
Alexander pours the contents of the empty-looking ink bottle over himself.
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, 4 morons do I sleep with nightly. There's nothing there at all, I say. Enough of this. Let's now away.
Alexander did it! He's fooled the guards! Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. They say, "Where are you going?" Alexander decides to keep the odd sentence, even though it is incomplete. Piles of stacked books, looking ready to topple at any moment, have been arranged haphazardly on the sandy ground.
Wow. Hiya, gorgeous. Oh, what a luscious-looking hunk of flesh you are.
Thank you, I guess. Who are you?
How charming of you to pretend not to know. I'm Black Widow, of course. The femme fatale of all femme fatales. Know what I mean? You know, I was just thinking it was time I found my 50th, another husband. It would be quite a horror, an honor to have me as a bride. Just look at my beautiful weaving. It's so light, so delicate. You'll never want to leave my little nest.
It is a lovely web, but my heart is elsewhere, I'm afraid.
Oh, drat! The loss is yours. I'm sure you'll change your mind once you consider the advantages. Have you changed your mind? My offer of wedlock is still open. That scrap of paper blew into my web from those books over there. The wind just thinks it can deposit anything here.
A thread is hanging from the otherwise tightly woven web.
Hey, don't touch that thread!
Alexander snatches the scrap of parchment, curious to see what's written on it. The wind blows the scrap of paper from Alexander's hand, but he remembers what it said well enough.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize these books had an owner. I'm in need of a rare book.
No owner? All books have owners, my good man. And this book owner, bookworm to you, wouldn't part with one of his books for anything.
Isn't there something I can do for you to pay for the book?
Let's see. Do you have an itinerant clause?
No. No clauses at all, I'm afraid.
As an exception, you always should.
Don't mind oxymoron and diphthong. They're fairly limited grammatical principles, you know. Let's see. A marsh pig that does Texas?
No. I'm afraid not.
A dangling participle?
I'm fresh out.
A purple fiddle whacker?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
An idiosyncrasy, perhaps?
Afraid not.
Ha! Then what good are you? Do you have anything interesting yet?
A regular abnormality?
Let me see what I have. I have a sentence. Would that do?
An incomplete one, I suppose.
Why, actually, it is incomplete.
Just as I suspected. Incomplete sentences are a dime a dozen. Why, you can literally just find them floating about. Complete sentences. Ooh, now there's something that's hard to come by these days.
I see. Sorry.
Milkweed thrives near the mucky swamp. Small bottles filled with milk grow on it like fruit. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. The fallen log has a good-sized knot or bump. A stick is stuck in the middle of the swamp. A mushy swamp lies just off the path. It doesn't look like very good swimming. A colorful array of snapdragons stand guard to one side of the path. Unless Alexander is mistaken, those plants must be baby's tears. Alexander doesn't want to pick the baby's tears. They may not be done growing.
Hey, what do you think you're doing there? Get your hands off me! Hey!
Alexander picks up rotten tomato and puts him away. One never knows when one will need a rotten tomato. Alexander is standing. Is that lettuce growing in the garden? It looks a little chilled. Why, it must be iceberg lettuce. The wallflowers look terribly shy. There appears to be a hole in the garden wall. Through the hole in the wall, Alexander sees a land that resembles a giant chessboard. Wow, it really is a hole in the wall. Zounds, those wallflowers sure are shy, and the snapdragons are awfully protective of them. Alexander can't even get close to the wallflowers without causing quite a stir.
Good day, snapdragons.
The snapdragons don't seem inclined to communicate with anyone.
Greetings, ladies. How charming you look today.
The wallflowers are too shy to talk to Alexander. A red chess knight stands at the top of the marble steps. A noble white chess knight stands at the top of the marble stairs.
Excuse me, what land lies beyond?
What land? Chessboard land, you knave.
I see. And is chessboard land part of the land of the Green Isles?
It is the home of the red and white queens, rulers of the Isle of Wonder, fairest of the islands that owe loyalty to the king of the land of the Green Isles. But perhaps not for long.
What do you mean?
What is the purpose of unity with the great king and queen dead? The princess is worth serving, but the feud with the other isles is strong.
I must insist, Your Highness. I shall send the lump of coal to the Vizier and the Princess as a present for their wedding, and that's the end of it.
And I suppose you'll leave me with only this stupid spoiled egg to send, Your Highness. I want to impress the new king and queen of the realm as much as you do. As queen of this island, I have every right to that lump of coal.
Who isn't queen of this isle? The lump of coal is in my possession. Therefore, I shall do as I please with it. Besides, there's nothing wrong with that spoiled egg.
The egg, though delightfully spoiled, is not nearly so valuable as the lump of coal, and you know it. Your Highness always got to carry the singing stone. It's not fair that you get the coal, too.
That doesn't count. The singing stone was stolen by that horrid beast. I should get to keep the coal just because my stone was stolen.
It wasn't wasn't your stone. It belonged to the Isle of Wonder treasury. Your Highness always thinks that everything is hers.
Excuse me, my good man, but could you settle an argument for us?
Which of us should get to carry the coal and which the egg? Remember, white is the color of deserving truth and virtue.
Quiet, your Highness, and let him make up his own mind. I, for one, shall be more proper, and not even mention the fact that red is the color of love.
I'm sorry, Your Majesties. I'm partial to both red and white, but I'm afraid that I don't know how to solve your problem. One of you will just have to be gracious and allow the other the lump of coal.
What a ridiculously stupid idea.
Quite ludicrous.
He was a lot of help, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. Obviously a man of high intelligence. The lump of coal goes much better with my gown anyway. Black and red are imperial colors.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard. Red does not go with anything, being much too self-conscious. White is the perfect accompaniment to any color.
The Red Queen has dropped her scarf on the steps. Alexander picks up the Red Queen's scarf. Alexander picks a head of iceberg lettuce.
Ye gads! Is that cold?
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. A pond lies across the path. The water boils as if over some magical flame. Hoping to cool down the boiling pond, Alexander throws in a head of iceberg lettuce. The pond's water slowly stops boiling, cooled by the ice. It still looks hot, but bearable. Alexander decides to brave the steaming pond.
Ouch! Ow! Ooh, 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 ouch!
The pond is no longer boiling, but it's hardly bathwater. An old abandoned hunter's lamp is hanging on one of the trees. Alexander wonders who might have hunted in these dense woods. Alexander takes the old hunter's lamp from the tree. As Alexander continues down the path, he gets the strange feeling that he's being watched.
Come on over here and see what I'm doing with these flowers. Never mind that stone fella on top of the gate. He won't hurt you any. He's just there to scare you.
A stone archer sits atop the lintel of the gate like a silent guardian. His stone bow is tightly drawn and fitted with a single stone arrow.
I'm Alexander of Daventry. Who are you?
What difference does it make? Just come on over here. I'll tell you my life history if you still want to hear it.
A brick lies in the grass. It must have come from the old brick wall. Alexander picks up the brick.
Tell me.
If it's conversation you want, just come on over here. I'll talk your ears off if we can sit down and talk face to face. Come on through, I say. I can show you a path through the forest.
Tell me.
If it's conversation you...
A pleasant-looking middle-aged man is busy tending a small garden just past the wall.
You aren't going to listen to me, are you? Well, we'll just see about that.
That's odd. The gardener just disappeared. There's an odd little creature dangling from that tree branch.
Hello, friend. Aren't you an odd-looking little fellow?
I'm not. Odd-looking you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could speak.
Speak not. Funny is, speech I am and nothing but.
You speak strangely, friend.
Strange my speech is not. Eloquence I speak with.
But who are you? And why are you here?
Away I fly my home from. Lost I am therefore. As my name too, can you guess not? It's what I do this branch with, and the way I speak of.
If you're lost, perhaps I can take you home.
Take me home too? Think not I do. Know you I do not.
Are you sure you don't want me to try to find your home?
Trust you I do not. Stay here I will.
Alexander is carrying, oddly enough, a sentence. It says, "Where are you going?" There's no reason to use... Alexander holds the sentence out to the creature.
This sentence seems in need of an ending. Perhaps you could finish it?
Where are you going? Where are you going? Know what I do? Where are you going to? Like you I do. Go I with you?
Well, that was certainly interesting. It looks like Alexander now has a passenger. Alexander pulls up. Alexander feels a...
Hello, bookworm. I have something you might be interested in.
Well, what is it this time?
I found this little fellow lost on another island.
Coming home I am too.
There you are, you naughty boy. I told you not to leave the island.
Glad I am seeing you too.
A most solemn celebration.
So, you found my dangling participle. I suppose I'll have to give you something. Let's see now. Was it a rare book you wanted?
Yes, sir.
Well, then none of these will do. They've been sitting in the sun far too long and must be well cooked by now. This one is far more rare. A delicious little tidbit.
Thanks.
Alexander is carrying a rare book from the bookworm. The words in the binding are very faint. The something riddle book. Alexander opens the rare book and looks inside. The book contains riddles and has a page missing. Alexander glances at a few of the conundrums, but finds himself more curious about the one that is missing. What was the riddle, he wonders? More importantly, what was the answer? The book contains riddles and has a page missing. Alexander, what was the riddle? Alexander feels a
Jalo, how fare you? And what news have you from the castle?
Prince Alex, how I fare is close to boiling. Have you seen the wedding proclamations around the village? I've heard rumors of the wedding, of course, but I didn't want to believe it, and I never thought it would be so soon.
Cosima. Married. Oh, it is an unpleasant thing to swallow, friend. If only I knew Cosima wished it. Tell me about the Wazir, Jalo.
The Wazir? Now there's a dangerous subject. His name is Abdul al-Hazred. He came to the kingdom 15 years ago. The king was fascinated by his knowledge and his fine-sounding ideas. It didn't take long for al-Hazred to convince the king to trust him with the minor problems of daily government. You see, Caliph had a wife and a new daughter he wanted to spend time with. Al-Hazred became Wazir.
And now?
Well, he's had his eye on Cosima ever since she was a young girl. And she is the only thing between him and the throne.
Do you think he means to harm her?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I think he'd rather keep her as wife. But whatever his plans for the princess, he will use her to his best advantage. That's his way.
Perhaps he has charmed her. Perhaps she cares for him now.
The Wazir is capable of anything, and Cosima must be vulnerable and lonely right now. Still, she has always instinctively distrusted him. Cosima has a good head on her shoulders. I'd be surprised if she's truly fallen for his words of love. I must return to the castle, Prince Alex, and you to your wanderings. May we both fare well.
I found this rare book, and I thought of your offer.
Very interesting. Oh, it is a wonderful riddle book. Riddles are much more marketable than spells these days. I guess people believe more in mirth than in magic. Here is the spell book you wanted, and a fair trade it is, I must say. Enjoy it.
I certainly hope so. We shall see how rusty my spell casting truly is.
Alexander is carrying a book from the bookshop. This is the first. This is the last page.
Your candy dish is empty!
I am sorry, sir, but I have no more mints. Somebody has eaten them all.
Well, get some more then!
I fear that is impossible. Without the ferry, I can no longer get imports from the other islands, and we do not grow mint extract on the Isle of the Crown.
Oh, I hate not getting what I want!
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I'll take the flute.
The flute? Very good, Prince Alex. May its music always be sweet. Feel free to trade it back at any time.
Thank you.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strain.
Would you ladies be at all interested in this?
The wallflowers shyly decline.
Would you lovely flowers be interested in this?
Guess not. Phew, that fly.
May I have this dance?
Oh, my!
Alexander stops playing the flute, but the wallflowers and snapdragons continue to dance, caught up in the music and oblivious to everything around them. While the wallflowers dance, Alexander snatches the hole in the wall. Alexander takes the teacup. Alexander gives one of the baby's tears a bottle of milk. The other baby's tears seem to resent Alexander's gift for some reason.
Would you babies be interested in this?
The baby's tears apparently aren't interested in that because they continue to wail at the tops of their lungs. That would serve no... Why would Alexander want to put tears in a teacup? Alexander collects some of the baby's tears in the old hunter's lamp.
What do you think you're doing?
You startled me. I was just getting some swamp ooze.
Well, you certainly won't get it there! That's not swamp ooze! That's swamp sludge!
He's right, you know. But he could be a little nicer about telling you. He's not a very pleasant stick in the mud.
Nobody asked you! Be quiet!
Oh, the trials of being a mere bump on a log.
The swamp gurgles.
Perhaps you could toss me some swamp ooze, since you seem to be able to recognize it. I can only reach this bit by the path.
Well, hoity-toity, look who's Mr. Wants so much! You think I got a job here passing around precious swamp matter? You should be so lucky!
He's an utter waste of oxygen. I'd save my breath if I were you.
But really,
Never! I got your swamp ooze right next to me, and that's where it's gonna stay! This swamp ooze is mine! Period.
Who are you?
I'm Bump on a Log, and that's my brother, Stick in the Mud. We've had this thing about each other ever since our childhood. Mom always liked me best.
She did not! That is absolutely not true!
He's a bit lazy, you see. He's got the only swamp ooze in the swamp right next to him. But do you think he'd move a finger to help you get some? Hardly. He'd try to brain you with it more than likely. His temper's about the only thing that ever gets a workout, and that on yours truly.
Oh, like you've moved at all in the last century! Like you're Mr. Physical Activity!
Just because I can't reach anything, he thinks he can throw gushy swamp matter at me and just say whatever he likes. If only I could turn the tables on that heckler, he might learn some respect. But as you can see, I'm a mere bump on a log and must be content with my lot.
Oh, shut up! You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn even if you had something to throw! Just shut up!
You see how he is?
The old rotten tomato gives Alexander a mean look and grumbles sourly.
I thought this might come in handy the next time your brother starts picking on you.
Aha! Finally, old Bump on the Log's not so defenseless, is he?
Hey! Hey! What are you doing there? Watch the pulp, would you?
Now, Bumpy, remember all I've given you! The only thing you've ever given me is mud. Take this!
No! Not into the swamp!
Okay, I give up. Geez, sorry.
Well, I guess it's not very pleasant having things thrown at you. I'm sorry.
You mean it? Really? Brother.
Brother!
Stick in the Mud and Bump on a Log, exhausted from the battle, immediately doze off into naps. Rotten Tomato, being equally lazy, decides to join them. Alexander fills the teacup with the swamp ooze. Alexander is carrying a book from the bargain table in the bookshop. Alexander is carrying an old, battered hunter's lamp. The lamp contains baby's teeth. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Good day, Prince Alexander.
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I believe I'll take the tinderbox.
Very good, Prince Alex. Enjoy your tinderbox and bring it back anytime.
Thank you.
Alexander pulls. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Taking off your adventurer's cap so soon?